This is my presentation on women's education and literacy in the Gambia and Afghanistan. This graph shows the general education ratio by region and gender, and as you can see, the females that are shown in the maroon always have less than the men, which I think is just entirely unfair in 6 regions, and then in the entirety of Gambia, there is not one region where women are being educated more so than men. Other factors associated with the reluctance to send girls to school include the fear of pregnancy and the opportunity of cost of schooling. For every 3 Gambian adults, 2 are deprived of basic reading and writing skills. Schools rarely exist in rural areas because the facilities are so run down and the teachers hardly ever stay. Many children in the Gambia leave school without basic literary and numeracy skills. Girls and women are underrepresented in science and technology, education, and employment. They are simply not getting the knowledge and skills they need for today's competitive and changing job market. The annual tuition in the Gambia for primary, middle, and secondary level students is $250, which covers writing, tablets, lunch, and school uniforms. The sole language in the education system in the Gambia is English, and the SAT is offered only 4 times a year at one location for every student in the Gambia who wants to take it in the capital, which is called Banjul.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live in Jambani.
Which compound?
Chatikunda.
Chatukunda.
Yes.
Chatukunda is a nice place or not?
Yes, it's a nice place. It's a extended family.
You are doing what?
I'm a student.
You are a student?
Yes,
You
I
are
want to further my education.
Okay.
In this video, which is a little bit hard to see and to hear, the girl shown is talking about how she wants to follow her education. She's 21 years old and she lives in a little village in the Gambia. The girl behind the camera is obviously joking. She thinks that she's crazy for wanting to follow her education. However, the girl is obviously passionate and serious, which is a nice change to see. Now on to Afghanistan. This is a picture of a girl who graduates wearing a burqa, which is obviously not common in the United States. This is a picture of children in a classroom in Afghanistan, and it just goes to show how privileged we are here in the United States just to even have desks to write on and chairs to sit in. These kids are sitting on little mats on top of cement, and they have to hold their paper to write on it, or I guess press it against the floor. Education is not an option for many women and girls in Afghanistan. According to government figures, only 26% of Afghanistan's population is literate, and among women the rate is only 12%. In 2001, when the U.S.-led invasion brought to an end the Taliban ban on girls going to school. Most Afghans still live in rural areas where poverty, conflict, and conservative attitudes are more likely to keep girls and women at home. 9 out of 10 women are illiterate. More than 50% of Afghan girls are married or engaged by age 10. Almost 60% of girls are married by 16. Women activists say up to 80% of marriages in poor rural areas are either forced or arranged. Most girls marry far older men, some in their 60s, whom they meet for the first time at their wedding. This is a big problem because of these forced marriages. They're not able to go to school. It is not usually presented in the media or reports, but the education systems in Afghanistan are required by the Taliban to be in line with the Islamic culture. There are approximately 3 times more boys attending school than girls. Many Afghan families will only permit their daughters to attend all-girls schools that are close to home, and few of those schools exist. Other families believe it is unnecessary for girls to be educated. Schools for girls have been burned down, and hundreds of teachers educating girls have been threatened or killed, and the girls have been physically harmed while attending or walking to and from school. Sorry, I don't know what this is. I think it's from Camtasia. Islamic extremists insist women and girls stay at home and can only leave if they are covered fully or accompanied with a male relative. In cities, most women wear a burqa that completely covers them.
He said, "A morning that I will never forget. A real school. You see, I was 6 when Taliban took over Afghanistan and made it illegal for girls to go to school. So for the next 5 years, I dressed as a boy to escort my older sister, who was no longer allowed to be outside alone, to a secret school. It was the only way we both could be educated. Each day, we took a different route so that no one would suspect where we were going. We would cover our books in grocery bags so it would seem we were just out shopping. The school was in a house, more than 100 of us packed in one small living room. It was cozy in winter, but extremely hot in summer. We all knew we were risking our lives, the teacher, the students, and our parents. From time to time, the school would suddenly be canceled for a week because Taliban were suspicious. We always wondered what they knew about us. Were we being followed? Do they know where we live? We were scared.
This is Shabana Baskij Rajik on her TED Talk, Dare to Educate Afghan Girls, as she described the oppression that the Taliban forced on Afghan girls in their 2001 ban on women's education within their country.
Almost 90% of Afghan women don't know how to read and write. Some are just learning that Islam allows them to get an education. This crucial.
As you can see in this video, the girls are being taught that they are allowed to do these things that they're doing, that there's no need for them to be in hiding, that the government is manipulating them to think that they're not allowed to study, to go to the doctor, to have basic human rights because of their religion, which is Islam. But that's so not true. They're just being manipulated, and they're finally learning that they can stand up for their rights and that it is okay to be a woman with a brain and using it. And the last video is a recording of Andisha Farid, who grew up in a refugee camp after her family fled Afghanistan in 1983, and she returned home because she wanted to give back and teach orphans. So she opened a school for orphans, but she's just talked about her experience there.
I grew up in that refugee camp and so many children, they lost their lives due to very preventable diseases like diarrhea, fever, and there was not even drinking water. People used to walk miles to fetch water. Living in such a circumstances with no facilities, with no access to the very basic human rights like school or medical facilities, it was very difficult. But
As you can see, there's a common theme that streams throughout what the problems that are presented to women who are trying to get an education are. They're oppressed and they're manipulated by their governments. They don't actually know their rights. So it makes us feel very fortunate that we here in the United States know our rights and that we are given them and we are treated, sometimes we think not so equally as men, but it's a lot better than in other places in the world. Thank you so much.